Did I forget? You're live. Coming back. Yeah. Right. Back. Trying to set up my introduction. Um, Pardon me. This is part two of the first IPNN segment that I did a little bit earlier. Um, I had to take a brief break. Pardon me for that. I was in the middle of a very deep um, topic discussion on our petty differences and information that I believe is vital. All right, sister, I see you. That is vital for our enlightenment. And I want people to understand the reason why I'm so passionate about, what I say here. I know some of you see me, I get a little animated, or my facial expressions might change. Huh? I'm a historian, just like a lot of my brothers and sisters out there as well. I'm not the only one, but I want to mention that this is an old proverb, and I believe Marcus Mosiah Garvey said it. Those who have not learned from history are condemned to repeat it. I believe that mantra, and it's very important because it speaks to the human condition or the lack thereof. I mean by that is some of us have not learned to be what is a human being in its entirety. We are still bathing and wallowing in degradation and degenerative behavior. That's because we don't really truly know who we are as a human species, coming from the great spirit, if you will. I happen to know them as physical beings. Spirit just denotes what drives you in which direction. Now, spirit can go, you got evil spirits and you got good spirits. But what spirit is driving us? Is it one of anger? Sometimes. Is it one of revenge? Sometimes. Is it one of destruction? More times than the other. Is it spirit of deceit? That's a huge one. Is it spirit of immorality and degradation? A spirit of ego? So many spirits, but how many have drawn to the spirit of righteousness? And righteousness doesn't necessarily mean that you do everything that is good in your attempts to achieve the greater good. We try to humanize each other by our actions, things that we do, and sometimes our reactions. And we tend to veer off from thinking before we act. And when I say veer off, I mean go off instead of thinking before we act. And to be in the spirit of the creator, I think that he would want us to be wise in our reactions to whatever is before us, that either is offensive, um, or just on a sublime, or whatever the case may be, that our people would jump up to, be ready to, especially when we hold in dialogue with one another, in these trying and troubling times. We definitely need to be on the side of logic in our um, actions and reactions to whatever befalls us. And that comes with prayer, meditation, whatever you want to call it, connecting to your higher self. And not some people, oh, I know that's hard. It is, because when you're faced with adversity to the level of somebody's attacking you physically, and I don't say that you're supposed to sit there and accept that. No, I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. Somebody attacks you, you have every right to defend yourself physically. I'm saying from spiritual attacks on your character, things that will try to bring you down emotionally, you know, self-consciously. And we go through that daily, especially in this country, with those who are over our heads now and ruling us. We're constantly being attacked. How do we deal with those attacks? We turn towards each other, turn our tents, and talk to each other, but in a civilized manner, a humble manner. These things are important if we are to survive, because no entity, no group, no company, no corporation can survive unless there is a presence of a reason and rationability there. Because if those things exit the fray, you're going to have chaos and conflict. So emotions must be set aside. OCO, do you chew? Peace and love, brother. Peace and love. Glad you I wanted to thank you for the comments that you made on my video channel the other day, and I was humbled. I was humbled by that, and I needed that. OCO, Beowulf, loving Beowulf. Good to see you, brother. Glad to know that you still alive and kicking, brother. From you, yes, love you too. Love you too. Wado. Yeah. So whenever we hold counsel and families, this is what I've learned, that families have conflicts. Every family fights, even in our tribal circles. But it's how we deal with it intelligently. How our resolutions will come. Whether it's going to be something that's going to be good or something that's going to be destructive. How we deal with whatever family problems that we have within our tribal circles. And reaching out to other families, hoping that we would become one family from the many tribal families that we do have. And this is the ultimate goal of our people. This is what Tecumseh was trying to teach before he was killed in battle at I think it was Tippecanoe or something Timbers. But anyway, so we should always incorporate a spirit of humility, reason, and rationale when we're dealing in council affairs and family affairs. Almost the same thing to some degree, because we are trying to get a resolution out of issues that have confronted people and who are looking for answers and resolve that with humility would bring a better and greater resolution, other than if you would allow conflict and anarchy to enter into a circle. And this is the difference in the spirit world, that we must learn to defeat within ourselves. We must learn to um, get rid of, a destructive spirit, an angry spirit. We must keep the angry spirit in check. We must keep it in place, in all aspects of our dealings in life. And it's hard. It is. I know, because I'm dealing with issues myself personally, but for the greater good. We always in our societal or historical societal circles, we always thinking 7 generations ahead. What about the children? So what we do now will affect future or present, for present and future generations. So today's based on yesterday, and tomorrow is based on what? Today. So if we're not in line or congruent in our dealings with one another, everything that we have will fall under the weight of its own inconsistent or inaccurate foundation, because it's gonna ultimately break and fall. And so many of our organizations, I know I came out of one, fall apart. All it takes is one misstep, and it could be major, that will cause that alignment to deviate and falter, and then again, when you have a family, and you're trying to work through your problems, reason why I'm really speaking on this is because it really reflects some of the symptoms um, that are that have penetrated within our family societies, tribal circles, that have caused so much problem for failure, cataclysmic failures. And we sit back and wonder why we can't work through these problems, why we can't maintain sustainability in our circles, in our families, in our tribal communities. What's going on? When you allow, and I'll say it again, when you allow disruptions like ego, anger, um, jealousy, distrust, these are all negative spirits that enter into. They start off as thoughts, people's heads, weak-minded. We allow these things to enter into our tribal circles. What happens ultimately? That chain that's supposed to bind us will start to break apart. And if it starts at the head, oh boy, you can forget about it. If it starts at the foot, on like an infection, right? And then that the blood in the body, it, it's pumped throughout the body. It goes up to the head and all the way down to the feet and circles back all the way up. If there's an infection that starts anywhere, it'll spread throughout the entire body unless it's rooted out, dealt with, and rooted out, ultimately out of the body. So it's the same in any circle, any organization. There's no difference. And this is what I've learned, in my travels with businesses that I've had, organizations that I've been with. It's the same. It's the same thing. No humility. No humility. Where even I remember, I'll give an example. Malcolm X, when he was, I don't know if any of you've ever seen the movie Malcolm X that Spike Lee did. And at the end, right before he was assassinated, he was upset in the dressing room, because they didn't have the charter. His assistants, they didn't have the charter. He was highly upset. He screamed at them. Right now, usually adults don't like to be yelled at. I know, I'm one of them. I'm an adult. I don't like to be screamed. But if I did something wrong, I didn't do something right, I have to humble myself and apologize, because you understand the human spirit says that people are going to get upset. If something is supposed to be done and it's not done. My chief yelled at me once. I didn't get upset. I just understood, what I needed to do. And, that was that. Malcolm X apologized right before he went out. I said, "Excuse me, sister, I didn't, you know." She said, "I understand." That point in that movie was so profound because I said, how many of us do that today? Who the hell does he think he is talking to me like that? You know, when you know you did something wrong, but because of age, adulthood, I'm 50 something years old. Talk to me that way. Think he is. She thinks she is. Um, the the spirit of humility is not present, and therefore so many of us lose as a result. You know, some of us can handle the way we yell and scream at others, but haven't we not done it ourselves? We do it to our children. We yell at our children. Even me, I yell at my children, but I come later and I sit down and I talk to them and I'll say, I'm sorry. I still love you, you know. But that angry spirit comes up from time to time. We need to learn how to exercise that with each other. It is important for us to move forward in any event, for us to be successful. I don't care what you got, what organization, how big you are. If you don't have humility at the base and God at that core, it's going to fail. It might take a long time, but it'll fail. You know, and these things have to be passed down. If they do manage to achieve that level of humility, don't assume that your children are going to learn that. But see, they learn from you. They learn from watching you, meaning in the home, mommy and daddy. Mommy and daddy always fighting, always at each other's throats. I barely see any, affection and hugging each other or sorries. Or so if the children don't see that, what makes you think when they go out into the world that they're going to behave any better? This is the story of a snake. A snake carries poison. Not all of them, but most snakes carry poison. You're messing with a snake, it's going to bite you. And whatever that snake has is going to give it to you. And then the infection of that snake will begin to travel, if you will, or it will infect others, and it becomes repetitive, and it expands. Such as America today. No one is humble anymore. Most people, what you looking at? Kids killing each other on the drop. What you looking at? What's that nigga looking at? This is the infections that we have, and don't realize it. A nice mindset have us fighting. Yes, brother. Yes, brother Red Clay. Yes, but we have to overturn it. And it starts with the self. We can't look at others. We gotta start with ourselves and teach our babies. At home. And this is the importance of a family, good family oriented structure. That even if excuse me, even if mommy and daddy are having issues, it's how they deal with those problems that would still bring a tight-knit family. And that when the children grow up, they bring that humility, they bring that humbleness, they bring it into the world, because they said, you know what? Even when my mother and father were having issues, they weren't screaming at each other. They didn't fight. They weren't picking up, throwing stuff and hitting each other. No, they talked about it in a civilized tone. Right? Sometimes things would get maybe a little heated, but they weren't at each other's throats. And what that does is that teaches that child to go out in life, not only just when they become involved in a relationship, but in business. You see where I'm going with this? And it brings that reason and rationale into the fray, and that we would be successful rather than destructive in all of our endeavors in life, and would bring us back closer to the creator, because this is actually really what he wants from us. So yeah, I overemphasize that with my own children, well behaved in school, to the point I mentioned this in one of my other videos, that the teacher's asking me, what are you doing at home with your children? Why are they so well behaved? With my daughter and my son. And I'm going to be honest with you, I was surprised, but it told me that because of what I learned, and I didn't learn this from the indigenous aspect, I learned this from the Nation of Islam. I have to point this out because I wasn't raised in a Native American Indian setting and family, in terms of, I lived near a reservation, on a reservation, or I had Native American Indian, brothers and sisters growing up who were teaching me about the cultural aspect. But in the Nation of Islam that I was raised up with at the 5% level, I was taught something very valuable early on in my life. It didn't produce itself until I got much older, or should I say, it didn't reveal itself till I got older. I had to go through my trials and tribulation, just the same, and I had to learn. But some of us do have a more humble spirit that exists within us than others, either through experiences. Now you got. Let me give you an example. You have women who go through pregnancy and they have a hellified pregnancy, not from just the physical aspect, because they're involved in a relationship that's hellish. Their baby's father might be giving them hell. Family might be giving them hell. And that internalizes that hellish feeling that what if they're going through the child. And then when the child is born, they can't understand why the child is wild and running around and acting up. Mr. Brother Red Clay, if I ask you what race are you, your mind will say black, but your skin is brown. This means you're colonized. No. Race. First of all, to me, race. The word race means we're striving to get somewhere fast, or we're endeavoring to hurry for something that we're trying to get or attain or to become. Now, as far as the black, I call myself a black native. Yes. Why? Because of my grandfather. My grandfather's dark skinned. He's black. Did our ancestors call themselves black? No. We didn't have to, because at that time, we didn't have colonized minds. There was no skin color variations. That is a poison. I agree with you. Yes. But I do it in honor, because our people who were colonized and coming out of the physical aspect of slavery, they were being tortured and enslaved, not because of what they thought, but because of how they looked. And they were either raped, mutilated, lynched, murdered, So, and my grandfather, who's black, he's dark skinned. I don't know how any other way to describe him, because I never knew him. I only have a picture of him today. So I say to myself that I honor my grandfather. I love the man, and I never knew him. Just have a picture of him, so I honor him. When he taught his son, my father, that he was black. Our people were going through. We were going through degrees of coming out of slavery. What are you? We're Negro. What are you? You're a nigger. What are you? Well, we're black. What are you? Now we're African American. Oh my God. Well, where does it end? So one thing I know for sure, the darkest soil that's in the earth produces life, right? So I know that the root is black. The earth itself, black, brown, you have black dirt or soil, black soil, brown soil, red soil. Don't know about the yellow soil, right? Or white. White soil means death, that it's no good. But the source of life comes from blackness, from the darkness. So, you know, I look at the people in my eyes black, right? It's not so much the color. I'm not really preoccupied with it. It's just an expression, brother. I grew up in the time. I'm in my 50s. I grew up in the Bronx. And me and my friends that I grew up with, my Black American friends, my West Indian brothers that I grew up with, some African brothers that I grew up with, we called ourselves black wherever we went. You know, and that was the glue that bound us together, because I fought white folks growing up in my neighborhoods. We fought Italians and we fought other white folk. Yes, we did. So, the blackness was the gel that bound us together, and we were proud to be black. The culture, which is the outer parts of our adornments, what we wore, our clothes, that's outside of. But to me, the root was black. That's who our fathers were. We know that even in the pictures that they've shown of of our indigenous forefathers, going back from the Cheyenne, the Comanche, the Lakota, they were dark skinned, straight hair, curly hair, and some of these high yellow Indians in the Midwest, they know that their forebears were black. They didn't say, "Oh no, they're not black." What are they saying? What they've been poisoned with is a prejudice that they're trying to separate themselves from the woolly or kinky haired indigenous family here, saying we're not a part of y'all. So yeah, they were dark skinned, but they weren't black. So what they're really saying on a psychological level, that we're not related to you. So I call myself black, brother, to represent those who have died and suffered enslavement, barbarism at the hands of Europeans, and that I will never dishonor my grandfather, ever, ever, ever. Well, black, we call yourself a black Indian, but you're still my brother. I love you. A black Indian, a brown Indian, a red Indian, I don't care. Hey, that's good. You're Saponi. I'm from South Carolina, brother. Yes. Also, Catawba, Tuscarora, and we call ourselves brown because we have never seen a true black skin Really? Oh, wow. Well, I have. I've seen a purple ebony brother and sister. Have you ever seen some of the East Indians up in the mountains and the foothills? The ones that they don't show on television? They're as black as this, brother, as this microphone. Shiny. With straight hair. I've seen them. And those are our relatives as well. We have never seen a true black skin. Well, yeah, I have, brother. I have. Maybe you haven't, but I have. So I don't really want to, get too caught up in because we lose sight of what's more important when we start to get into the color issues, because we know really who is at the foot of the table when it comes to creating the color variations and the divisions that enter into that. Because it's really, at the end of the day, it's not that important. It's really not that important. The dark skin, brown skin, red. This man, as long as you are a person with melanin, he don't like you. He hates you in most cases. So he'll kill us if we're dark skin, he'll kill us if we're brown skin, he'll kill us if we're red skin, he'll kill us if we're yellow skin. And he's shown that throughout the course of history within the past 300 to 500 years. And we know this to be true. So, when we're not being disrespectful if we say we're black indigenous or we're brown indigenous or we're red. And those are just the human varying colorations of our people. But we should learn to put our petty differences aside and focus on the more important issues, and that's unity. Because if we don't, you see, what Tecumseh warned us of. He told us before, if we don't put our petty differences aside, and that's what I feel like sometimes these color issues where it's taking us, if we don't put our petty differences aside, we were going to lose the country, and we did. He was speaking all up and down the East Coast and into the interior of the country, speaking to the tribes that would listen. What did he get? So the children of those who did not adhere suffered, and we are the children. What have we learned? Is color really that important in terms of our black and brown, red and yellow communities? Is it really that important? Because if it is, then we're going down with it. Because we're at our last chance now. The Creator's showing us through the weather. He's tired of our foolishness. He's saying, I made you. You come from me. You are the salt of the earth, the angels, the angelic beings that were on the planet before these white people got here. And we're still behaving this way because we can't see past this. Then that means we're no better than our enemies. Because of rationale and reason has exited the fray. We must allow rationale and reason to re-enter the fray in the hearts and the mindsets of our people, lest we go into the ditch with our enemies. Hey, Danny Caramel, how you doing? You know, but I thank you, my brother Red Clay. You know, Wado, I thank you for bringing that up and you know, allowing me to have this dialogue, you know, with you, because it's important that our people learn that we speak and break bread with each other, so we can get through that which is needed, and that's knocking down the divisive blocks that they have put up, barriers that they have put up to divide us. This has all been done to keep our people illiterate, ignorant, and separated through the simple things that he has cast before us, which I call stumbling blocks, obstacles, to keep us from talking to each other in a civilized manner, that we would bear fruit, you know, and that would be through building mentally, spiritually, and physically, ultimately, because once we start to build family circles, then we can extend those family circles into tribes, into city, and into country, and then beyond. If we're ever going to have a united indigenous front, we had better deal with the issues and the problems that we have in our own backyard first, before we deal with anybody else. You know, just noticed you were doing a live, so I wanted to catch some of this before I go to work. I'm glad that you managed to find a couple of minutes to come on and listen. You can also make some comments or any questions that I will definitely be happy to listen or to take. Okay. Yeah. So, brother Red Clay, I heard I was watching a video by the Karamio Ahau. I was just checking out his video a little while ago, and the brother definitely he had some serious insights on our people's you know, history and how we have been compromised by these Europeans, and that even to this very day that they're still engaged in deception of the historical aspects or inaccuracies or untruths that they continue to throw, you know, at those that either don't know, or they're not critiquing or investigating for themselves and being deceived. And he's trying to counter, you get to our people to use terms that are in law that protect us under Indian law. Okay. Well, yeah, that sounds like a structured almost like the Haudenosaunee, right? The Haudenosaunee Confederation. That was a very good uh, and very well formatted and structured institution that was set up prior to the Europeans, and that came out of. And yeah, it's very important that you say that because look, we had our problems before the Europeans got here. We were fighting each other. We weren't perfect as a people, and we still are not perfect to this very day. So, law and governing our people to keep peace, keep justice, equality in order. We definitely need laws in place that would sustain us, in every aspect of a civilized society. And yes, yeah, we have to get our people to use terms that are in law, yep, to protect us under Indian law. But we're so scattered. We're scattered and divided, and that's, I don't know, brother. I don't, I think honestly to be upfront that because I appreciate him as well as you, Lamit. Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah, the brother, I had to take my hat off, when I finished watching one of his videos, today, and I said, wow, this brother, he's got some good. I would love to get a hold of the brother to speak to him, more wholesome dialogue, add some insight because here's the deal. Here's the deal. I believe honestly, we all have pieces to a puzzle to fit that would expand our minds and our understanding of us as human beings first, right? The culture of who we are is important, yes, but understanding the human ness of who we are as people first, our moral psyche, consciousness, and bringing those pieces to the table to fit into a puzzle that we need to reconnect with each other. It's important, and it's pertinent information. So we all have something to offer each other in building a society. Once again, so our people can sustain themselves and live in harmony once again. And that takes effort, that takes time, and it also takes land. Also takes land. And we know that we have been so marginalized as a people to the point of almost extinction because we don't own half of 1% of land in this country anymore. The only ones that have some serious, I think it's the Lakota who own the Black Hills. I don't know what they're doing, with those, with that piece of geography. I would hope that they're doing something constructive, out there with it. But our people, in any endeavor that we would undertake, we need land. We need land. We need construction, building materials. We need to be educated, and that's the only way we're going to educated and civilized, bringing a moral, additive, with the building. As it says, the scripture says, man cannot live by bread alone. So these things are vital in any construction, anything that you build. It must have a moral imperative in its beginnings. That's the actual house, the foundation that you're building on first. When you're erecting or constructing a building that people can enter into, or you're building a house that's built on morals, on economics, on agriculture, on science, on mathematics. All of these things must enter into, and it must be at the foundation of every house that's being built, or it's not going to last very long. It's not going to last very long. So yeah. Yeah, sister. So yeah, I definitely, agree. The brother Camille. Yeah, I definitely had to take my hat off to him. He was incredible. I loved his video. I only saw a couple of them, and I was really taken aback by what he had presented. You know, so anyone have any questions, anything to add? I would be again more than happy to take some questions now, or or anything to add to this. Now, when I was speaking earlier about the situation with the enslavement, you know, we have a growing divide to some degree of our people who are and claim to be of African American descent. Right? It's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing, but like my own family, you know, who came to me and said, or at least one of my brothers, with land you can be self-sustainable, yeah, and have something to leave for the next generation, yeah. Well, either it reminds me of one of the reasons why I'm not voting, because none of these people are talking about reparations. They talking about reparations for African Americans, black people, but they're not talking about reparations for the indigenous peoples here. Restitution is not just about money, because I tell you, listen to me carefully in this one. They are scheming and coming up with a plan, a plot to give $50,000 per capita per household, and then he'll come up with a Cadillac reparations sale. Knowing so many of our people be like, $50,000, $50,000. Some of us ain't never seen $1,000 in our life. $50,000, and boom, just like that, the money's gone. That's what he's planning. So we have to look at it in terms of restitution for the greater good. And I take money, but I want land with it. I'll take money, but I want land with it. You know, because you have to give the people a frame of reference that, well, you know what, I got this land now. You know, hemp right now is a big agricultural market. You know, the everybody's getting CBD oil and, you know, THC and, you know, all of this stuff coming from the hemp plant, right? So there are all these white farmers now who growing this stuff. Of course, they got a lot of our people locked up for it still. And they got these white farmers, they're making a killing now. They're making an absolute killing, because it's not on just a national market, it's on an international, you know, not, I wouldn't say the playing field is not level, but an international playing field that's not level, excuse me. There's no continent called African America. These are bad terms. I've heard worse. I agree. Yes, brother, I agree. But I've walked through, you know, Italian communities with my brothers, and Italians calling us nigger. So I mean, you know, I hear you there, brother. You know, on that African American. There's no continent called African American. No, it's not. Even the continent itself wasn't called Africa. That's not its original name. If you want to get, you know, deep with the etymologies of these names, or the beginnings of these names, the whole continent wasn't called Africa. I ran into some Africans who actually looked at me and said, you know what, my grandfather, he told me the same thing. He said that our continent was not called Africa. It's just some of us over here don't know that. You know, but, you know, that's neither here nor there. It's really, it's really not that important. If they want to call themselves African Americans, fine. I'm not going to fight with nobody over that, brother, because it's not important. It's not that important. You know, at the end of the day, we have to recognize that we are a people with different cultures, the darker peoples, period. We live on different parts of the planet. We have different cultures and different languages. If we don't learn to humble ourselves, to learn to do trade, because if we don't, we'll be fighting and at each other's throats. For what? Because you got this name, he got this name, he got this. The problem is that we as indigenous peoples are looking at African Americans and saying, yo, this ain't no African America. This is, you know, we know it as a different name. We have a different name here. So some of us are becoming defensive. All right, fine. I understand that. But we didn't create this dynamic, this conflict, this irritation. We didn't create this. White people did. So we can't look at our African American brothers, and say, "Oh, y'all wrong," and then, because then they're looking at us and say, "Oh, you niggas think that y'all native, y'all indigenous, y'all," when they don't know the story themselves. So where does it end? Huh? We're gonna be at each other's throats, fighting each other too. White folks, they sitting back there like, yeah, we got them, boy. We hopefully they'll start fighting amongst them, saying one is African, the other one is Indian. When actually they're still family, arguing. We know damn well we got some indigenous brothers who look like African Americans, so-called African Americans. I'm talking about on the outer, but who know that they're native. What we're gonna do? Fight? We're gonna kill each other? What? That's what they waiting on. Are having these problems because we are lost in their system. And how do we get out? Not through more fighting, not through more arguing. They are laughing, and let them laugh. Let them laugh, brother. Because as long as we stay right and we do what the Creator asks of us, then He's gonna have our back regardless. Because I'm gonna tell you something, even on both sides, a lot of us ain't gonna see the hereafter that's coming. Native or African American, because of, guess what, our behaviors towards one another. He's gonna look at us and say, y'all gonna treat each other like that when y'all practically look alike and y'all being beaten down by the same enemy? What's wrong with you? So we must withdraw from this madness. There's one white politician said, he said, if there's a race war, he said the blacks are going to be fighting with the Spanish first. Who is he talking about? Who's he talking about? The Spanish. The Hispanics, that the Spanish fool who were indigenous peoples, they speak Spanish and we speak English and think we're better because we speak English and they speak Spanish. We're being played by a pimp. So, like I said, brother, let them laugh at us. Let them laugh. Just keep on doing the right and positive work. Genealogy is the key. That's a part of it, brother. Yeah, that's a part of it. But genealogy does not denote what's in the heart and what's in the mind. That's a part of it. Yes, the genetic, but you'll know a tree by its fruit and that which it bears. That which is in the nature from the seed that it produces. So genealogy is a part of the key to opening the doors. It's just a part. Just a part. Just a part. Just a part. So we can't allow, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. How many times we gonna let these devils fool us? How many times before we wise up? The darker peoples all over the earth outnumber this man 11-1. But divided, we're still a minority. Since we know who we are, then we can get out of their system and stop calling ourselves bad terms. Well, I don't know. A lot of our people are awake now with the social media. A lot of us are awake. And the only way that we could come out of this system is when we start turning our tents towards each other and working together and networking with each other in business and economics, and being productive on those fronts, through networking, through the internet, and actually making wise business decisions without regards to this for our people, without regards to that, and seeing past the straight hair, the curly hair, the kinky hair. When we do that, then we become a threat. So as far as look, I know some people who refer to themselves as such, and they're good people. Somebody could call themselves a certain way, a certain term. They could be the angels that's sitting right next to you, regardless of what they call themselves. And you got you got some people who are conscious and who call themselves by a different term, and they wicked as hell. Just coming out of a spiritual and moral death. We have been maligned as a people for the past 300 to 500 years, filled with a spirit of death and destruction. It takes time for us to come out of that. Some of us a little bit longer, some of us too late. We must awake now and see what's in front of us, the immediate threat. And that immediate threat ain't white folks, it's us. Put our petty differences aside and realizing the greater and common good. We must realize the greater and common good for us to see the hereafter. Because everything else, titles, not going to matter. Because we'll be at each other's throats and nothing will survive. Nothing will survive. And, these are things that only through study, through consistency of understanding what is within, we must look at ourselves internally and bring out the righteous man or woman. The problem is most of our people don't know that we were here before the arrival of Europeans. That's why it's incumbent upon us, for those of us who do, to teach. Right? But see, then when we come into the realization of this, of our existence, what happens? Oh, the immediate spirit of anger, surprise and shock comes. And then we find out everybody else who's here is an alien. Oh, that's what we've been taught. We start saying, these people over here, they're not from here. They're not our people. We're not taking account as to who, what, and why caused these problems that exist today. You're going to realize who's at the source of these problems, who caused these problems. And then when you do that, some of those who are still being deceived and lied to, and they come from other countries to come over here and look at us like we're nothing. I know exactly where a lot of this pain comes from, because I came up in that just like a lot of our other people have as well, brother, amongst ourselves, right? So we must expose the lie, root it out, and then understand that who are those that are responsible for these deceptions, which cause the domino effect of ignorance and enmity between us, that they would hope that we would keep fighting and killing each other like a lot of us are still doing in the streets, so that they can live and continue to get rich off of our foolishness and our ignorance. So we must teach those, but we must teach those and teach them carefully, because the spirit of resentment and anger blinds the eyes. And I ain't talking about these two eyes. It blinds us, and we must learn that we are one family on this planet, separated through deception and ignorance and a downright devilishment type of mentality that currently exists on this planet. So we must uproot that. We must uproot that. It is our job as teachers to go after those who are lost, who are trying to find their way, and give them. So you don't give a child meat to eat lest they spit it right back up. You must give them milk. Now it's funny because I'm teaching in a mode of like a shock of the hour in some respects when I'm out and about teaching, because we don't have much time left. I try to chuck everything in quickly because our time is really short. 400 years old, yeah, that means we got a lot of work to do. His lives is 400 years old and counting, and counting still, and he's facing destruction through the weather. The earthquakes, this God ain't playing, brother. He's not playing. He's coming after these people, and he's already started. The farms in the United States are underwater or in drought. We having a serious windstorm up here in Connecticut right now as we speak. They call it a bomb cyclone. It's coming up the coast. So, he's going to deal with them, and he's already started. That's why they're acting up in Washington, D.C. right now. You think he doesn't know what's going on? It's our people who better wake the hell up. He knows that his time is up because of the way he's acting. And why? You see these politicians? Have you ever seen such lunacy? Because they know that their time is up, so they don't care. They don't care. They're going to take us to, or they think they're going to take us to hell with them. And some are going to end up going to hell because they still trust and believe that these people are somehow being honest. They're being patriotic. They're fighting a good fight. And everything that they're doing, they're forgetting about God's people who have been totally destroyed here in the hells of North America. So yeah, bro, the lies they're increasing. They haven't stopped, and he's not. He is a liar, and he is a liar from the beginning. He speaks not the truth because the truth has no place in him. He is the father of a lie. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own. That's in the Bible. However you want to take that, it doesn't matter. I tell people, well, when the white man just got here in this country, what did he do? He told massive lies in order for him to steal this country. And he killed a lot of our people. So he is one that God has been after to change his ways, to get him to try to see that the error of his ways are going to get him destroyed. And that's why he was given time. It says, let he that hath wisdom count the number of the beast, for is the number of a man 666. I know the science behind that. I know the mathematical breakdown and the history behind that. I'm not going to get into that with you guys here today, but it is definitely connected to these people. I want to mention something. I found RFID chip is coming. The Bible call it the mark of the beast. Oh, hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second, people. Hello? Sorry. Robocalls. Yeah. RFID chip is coming. The Bible call it the mark of the beast. Yeah. Bro, don't let them fool you on that. What the hell is a chip gonna do to make people do something for them that people ain't doing for the white man already? Really? The mark of the beast? Really? The mark of the beast are people who have lost their consciousness of what is right and wrong. They don't know the difference between right and wrong anymore. That is the mark of the beast. That's the true mark of the beast. It ain't no chip. There's no chip that they can put in anybody's body that'll cause people to do something they ain't doing already. All right? So, all right. African priests, and she told me my ancestors wanted me to get a certain book on the Cherokee, she didn't mention any African ancestors, though. An African priestess, a certain book on the Cherokee. What was the book, sister? What was the book? Yeah, slowly implementing it. Well, brother, stay strong. Brother Red Clay, again, this is why the scriptures talks about the sons of light and the sons of darkness are going to conflict, and there's going to be blood running in the streets. The people are not going to go for that. Forcing chips to be put in their body. They know that. They know that would be an all-out war for them to try to implement something like that. They're doing it possibly secretly in the hospitals to people without their knowledge. But as far as a mass forcing of something like that, nah, brother. Look, and and this is where we fall short of not believing that our God is not, here, or he's not helping us. Look, I tell you, watch this weather. They look, they're scientists and they're magicians. They are arguing amongst themselves about global warming and climate change. And Trump said it. He said, it's not global warming. I'll tell you straight up, he's right. What? Look, the history of this planet shows that there have been violent changes as a result of climatic changes, that it wasn't to a point as a result of so much global emissions. How long have we had emissions or methane gases that have been released like what we have been doing today? And I mean this empire, this society, right? And because this is what they're blaming it on: the methane, the opening up of the ozone layer, the gases, the greenhouse gases that have been released. Then why are certain countries getting hit more than others if it's global warming? There are certain countries around the world right now that aren't experiencing everything that we're getting. Why are tornadoes hitting certain communities in certain states and bouncing, going east and then stopping and then going at a drop of a dime, bang to the left, then dissipate, and then 30, 40, 50 tornadoes a day later come back down and just tear out miles and miles and miles, of farmland and people's houses, and parallel to that, a whole stretch of other people's houses not touched. I wish I could get into it a little deeper, because I have a great understanding of why these weather patterns are the way they are. It has nothing to do with global warming and climate change. The God of all creation is here. And they call them UFOs. I'll say it again. They call them UFOs. They're spoken about throughout the scriptures. We think that God is some spook, some spirit, some ghost that we cannot see. But yet when you read your scriptures, it tells you all throughout the Bible. And if you look at the ancient institutions, the pyramids that are not just in Egypt, around the planet, you'll see that they show images of what look like discs. In India, they have these things called the Vimanas. They were giant flying machines. The white man is new to technology. He's new. He's just started learning technology recently, within the past 150 years, right? But he's been given a boost within the past. He's come from 0 to 60 in 150 years. You think by his own volition or his own brain that he used? No. So our God is here. However you perceive him, doesn't matter. I'm here to tell you that he's here. And they are not ghosts. They're not spooks. They're not spirits. They are a civilization. They are utilizing what's called a mothership that's spoken of in the book of Ezekiel. when he saw a wheel coming in from the north country, and it had fire and smoke round about. And as he looked up, he saw what looked like a man was coming out of it. And he said, oh my God, and started to pray. In the book of Joshua, Joshua looked up, behold, he saw God coming out of a ship, a vessel. This was in the book of Joshua. And he said he was a bronze complexion coming out of a vessel. In the book of Genesis, God, he looked up and he saw God building a wheel that was a half a mile by a half a mile. So I asked my Christian family, what kind of God that's supposed to be a spook needs a ship to fly around in? You're dealing with a technology that is older than the sun, moon, and stars. The Grand Canyon is what the white man calls one of the 7 wonders of the world. He calls it one of the 7 wonders because he don't know how it got that way. He says our moon, that's 666,000 miles from our planet. That's not supposed to be there. Our moon, which was a part of the earth. That's another long story. The Saudi Arabian deserts. He calls that one of the 7 wonders of the world. He doesn't know how the earth got scorched that way and how the separation that took place between our moon and our planet caused the Saudi Arabian peninsula to be scorched, and it also caused the Grand Canyon as what we call it today. But they have found remnants of pyramids and Egyptian artifacts inside the Grand Canyon. You see, I'm telling you, my people, you don't know the God that's here. And I say this with the utmost assurance and no reservations. None. They're seeing UFOs all over the planet now. And they're talking about it in Congress because he knows that there's something above his head that he can't get a grip on, that he can't catch up with, that he can't get around above nor beneath. So I'm telling you, my family, and hear me when I say this, the God of all creation is here. And when you see him coming out of the clouds in these vessels, the wise thing would be to get on your knees. So, little that when there's a storm, God is doing his work. Yeah, it's already in Mexico. People will what? I'm sorry. I might go for it now, but give them time to acclaim to the idea of our children will fall prey to it. Yep. Yep. Without God, it is over. Yeah, well, this brother Loving Bear Wolf, this country is godless. So you and God has been patient and waiting for him to change and waiting for our people who are the angels who were here first before he got here. And he's waiting for us to change as well, because we're not getting out of this either. We have to stop killing ourselves and our people and our babies, drive-by shootings and all this other crap that's going on in our community. I've been told since I was little that when there's a storm, God is doing his work. Yeah, that's probably true, sister. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Think it's man-made? No, brother Beowulf. No. This man, no, he wished he had the power to do what's going on right now. He wish he did. He's trying to with this installation that they call HARP up in upstate New York and Puerto Rico. He has these installations that he can barely cause a Category 1 hurricane. Yeah, he's trying. But again, I tell you, he's a baby in the world of technology. This Fred Flintstone climate that we live in today is nothing compared to the God that I know that is present in the world. I'm telling you, if you're not paying attention, the farms in the United States are either underwater or in serious drought. The plagues of pestilence is here. I know because I'm an exterminator. And my phone is flying off the hook at times. I can't even get to all of the clients that I want to with regards to that. But the destruction of earthquakes, tornadoes, hurricanes have been increasing exponentially year after year after year, and it's getting worse. Now, why in God's name would you destroy your own backyard to show a people that you're powerful. You do it to your own backyard? I don't think so. No. No. Kill your own people? No. Bringing death and destruction on yourself in terms of the lack of food. You know, when your food dries up, and remember this, you have to start to import grains that your food, that your farms can no longer sustain because of the floods and the droughts, which are getting incrementally worse year after year. So that means that you would have to go into your own food stores to survive. What food does that? Huh? No. It is not man-made, brother. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Ishmael is here. He's present in the world. And our people had better wake up, because the hurricanes that have been hitting, you see, people see what happened in the Bahamas? Come on, talk to me. Talk back to me, people. You people see what happened in the Bahamas? A category 5 hurricane, 220 mile per hour winds. This devil don't have that kind of power. So as the scripture says, so wherever the Son of Man turns, the wheel would turn with him. Huh? So wherever the Son of Man was, so shall the wheel be. You think that this wheel is some spookish object? No. They found the face of a black woman. I said this in my other videos, on the planet Mars in 1976. That's why I said we got to grow up. The minister said this as a people, we must grow up. We can't think limited in our geography anymore. The original peoples of the planet, the darker peoples, must come back home to ourselves. We must leave this white world and the way he thinks and the way he acts to him, because God will destroy him. He's already showing us now that he is doing just that. But we must be in line. We must be prepared to receive that which God is dishing out right now for us. And we must also be ready. We must make sure that we are prepared for these cataclysms. So many of our people I've seen from Hurricane Katrina, just, what's the word? I'm sorry, asked out. Don't have nothing. White folks prepared, though. In most cases, they prepared. They got food and water. Some of them got boats. They prepared for the cataclysm. They know that's coming. But a lot of our people begging, oh, God, help me. Well, you must learn to help yourself. You must learn to prepare yourself for what's coming. He's about to be taken out of power. So that means we must prepare, like Noah. Noah told her, go amongst the people and tell them, let them know that I'm coming to destroy this area. But they didn't listen. And after the flood started, they knocking on the door, open up. Hey, I can't do nothing for you. I told you. They didn't believe it. So you didn't believe, so now you're going to suffer. And our people are suffering now because we don't believe. What we do believe is some spooky spirit, ghost God that's supposed to come save us. Feed yourself. That's right. There you go. That's why, brother, I said that we got to get, if he doesn't look, if he doesn't get up off of dealing with restitution for the darker peoples here, our God's going to deal with him, and he's already dealing with him because he doesn't believe he owes us anything, which is a damn shame because he's paid everybody else back. You know who I'm talking about, but us. So he feels as though I had nothing to do with that. But their benefactors, their children benefited from what their fathers did. They won't acknowledge that, though. They've inherited the richness of our enslavement and our suffering and our destruction. So they believe that because they just inherited it, there's no accountability. Oh, well, our God has a different thought on that one. And his time is just about up with his judgment on his head because he believes that restitution is not in order, yet he has paid everyone else. So our people must get off of the seat of dependency, as the minister put it. We must get back off the seat of dependency. We must learn to do for ourselves. We must be humble towards our brothers and sisters and work together so we can build a new reality and a new day for our people, our families, in the future. Because if we don't, we're going in the same ditch with him. And I promise you, you know, our God is not playing. You brothers and sisters, y'all see it. Every day you turn on the news, there's something going on with the weather around the country. And it's not good. It's getting worse. You know, it's almost like some of us, it's like a deer that gets caught in the street with headlights. You know what happens? It gets frozen. That's what our people, that seems like that's what our people, I'm up here in Connecticut. And I'm talking to a lot of our brothers and sisters up here. And they're looking at me like, why? I didn't know that this stuff was going. I didn't know that. Yeah, I know a little about the weather, but I had no idea that was going to. What you're saying is going to. In Houston, Texas, was it what 2 years ago? They were in the downtown in I think it was Houston. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sister Corian. They were flooded up to their waist in the city. Were they not? They were, right? So we getting hit. People getting hit. People are losing their homes, being flooded out. FEMA's coming in. FEMA's coming in. People are disappearing. People are disappearing. You heard what I said? People are disappearing. And what are we doing? We still hanging out at the clubs. We're still going to parties. Get on down. Yeah, boy. We still having fun. But we're not spending our money with that which would save our lives for when the destruction comes. And I'm telling you, I say it again, and I reiterate, the earthquakes are coming. So says the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, whom I love dearly. And for my people, I say, the God of Abraham and Isaac and Ishmael is the same God that's backing the nation. You know, if you don't believe that, you know, that's up to you. But my job is to get the information out so that our brothers and sisters would be prepared for that great day of destruction that our brother Yeshua, or who you call Jesus Christ, to my Christian family, spoke of in the book of Mark, when the disciples came to him and said, he said, Master, did you say in that last day that there will not be one stone unturned? And he said, yes, on that day of judgment, not one stone will be unturned. And that's the ultimate massive judgment of the earthquakes that's coming. Not all of us are going to die. Some will survive. But I tell you, if our people who do survive don't have anything to go to because the lack of belief that they did not believe, you're going to wish you was dead. And when I think about that, because I said this is a history repeated all over again. You see, the white man, 6,000 years to rule, 6,000. And those periods, the Romans, the Greeks, the American Empire, they've all been destroyed. Now, Italy is getting flooded. You guys notice that? Where they got their boats with the gondolas, you know, now if you guys haven't been paying attention, inside of Italy right now, where areas where they could walk where there's no water, there's water there now. So this God is coming after these white folks, all of the European empires that, excuse my French, shitted on America from. All of those European countries, because, you know, every European country came here. It wasn't just the English. It was the English, the French, the Spanish, the Germans. It was all of them that came here. Some of them, you know, they'll try to say today, well, I'm European. I'm not from there. But your descendants came over here. They saw opportunity, and then they saw the shift in terms of the white dynamic, the white and black dynamic began to unfold. That being white was right, and that they could benefit from that. They came running in droves. What we know? What is it called? The Homestead Act. Come on, brother Red Clay, talk to me, brother. The Homestead Act. Who did they bring over here on them ships? It wasn't just the Irish. Come on. They brought all of the Europeans that came over here. And what did they do that for? Because it wasn't enough for them. It wasn't enough for them, and they knew if a war broke out here, that they wouldn't have enough of their people to fight against and win against the darker peoples that were here. They are not going down without a fight. That's why they are buying so many guns. Yeah, you're right. Well, he's a beast by nature. He's a killing machine. When Obama became president twice, they said, 13 million guns were sold? That told me right off the bat what they thinking. You know, so and yeah, that's the way he is. You know, he feels threatened by us. I mean, which he should. There's too many of us here. You're right. That's right. But really, we had the right to be here. This is our land. You know, so being that he came to steal, rob, and pillage, and, you know, and rape, in order to change that dynamic, what did he do? He opened up the floodgates, the Homestead Act. He brought all of these Europeans over here. He started bringing all of them come. That's it. When they were talking about we welcome the poor and you're tired and you're, you know, downtrodden to our shore, they were talking about bringing Europeans over there. They wasn't talking about the other darker peoples coming from other countries. Because when you look at Ellis Island in New York in the 1800s, late 1800s, those are all Europeans that they brought over here. So that's why you see now we got Trump. We should be glad we got Trump in office, because what did he say? He said we should bring more people over here from Denmark, you know, and Scotland, because that's what's on his mind. At least he's telling the truth. So we know our position and where we stand. That they're not looking to bring the darker people. They don't want the darker peoples over here because he's scared now. There's going to be a war. And that the darker peoples coming will ally themselves with us here against him. We must recognize that. So they are preparing. And don't believe just because they're showing us down at the borders, you know, all these flooding immigrants coming over. The white folks haven't been coming over here, you know, either on planes or boats themselves, getting dual citizenship, you know, unless they're weeding out and trying to find out those who look white and Muslims coming from other countries that they're fearful of. They ain't gonna speak about that, but they're looking at other Europeans that are coming here that are non-Muslim countries and bringing them and allowing them to become citizens. They're not talking about that. We outnumber the whites in the South 12-1, and they didn't want us. Right. But we outnumber them. But are we united? They know that we're divided, brother. So what good is our 12-1 when they're one? They could come chop us all up because we're divided and foolish. That's why we're facing what the scripture says. God is going to unleash the red fiery serpents upon us. because we haven't learned to see who our enemies are because of this. Not because of where brother might come from, the West Indies, or he might come from Africa, that we must talk to those who listen and say, yo, bro, they don't care about where you come from over there. They'll kill you just because of this. That's why it's imperative. That's why I'm charged with, and others, that we must teach our people to be more sensible. We outnumber the white and say, yeah, they don't want us ruling again. But in our current state, the way we are, we would probably end up killing each other, even after. So that means that we need to be governed by people who look like us, yes, but we need to be governed. But we need to be governed by a righteous government. And the scriptures talks about God's elect. Yeah, sure enough does. It talks about God's elect to govern, to remove this imperial, wicked system and put in its place a righteous system, a righteous government. But they want to take us to hell because he doesn't want to be ruled by anyone or anything else other than himself. And he wants to keep ruling us, but his time is up with that. But so he'd rather us go to hell, himself and us. He'll take all of us to hell with him if he believes that he can do that. And he believes in his sick and twisted mind that that's exactly what he's going to do. Was our made up by the Iroquois Confederacy. I don't know who that is. Yeah. So the Constitution was made up by the Iroquois Confederacy. The Europeans adopted. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. They borrowed our articles of our Confederacy. Yes, they did. We gave up power by fighting against our people. Because we were what? We were divided. Some of us, you remember what's his name? Joseph Brant. He was more white than he was I think Mohawk. Was he Mohawk? I can't remember. They called him red something. And I saw pictures of him. This is this white boy, man. He was arguing with Cornstalk, if I'm not mistaken. He had an argument with Cornstalk because Cornstalk said, yo, look, between the Americans and the British, we ain't got nothing to do with them. Let's stay out of it. But because of Joseph Brant, his father was English. He told the people that they were punks if they didn't side with the British. And that they had to, because the British didn't have, this is what's funny, the British didn't have designs on this continent. But I said to myself, well, then who were the Americans? Were they not cut from that same cloth? The Americans were nothing but the British who separated from the crown in England. So he stood up there and gave an eloquent speech about how the Confederacy needed to fight on the side of the British against the Americans, instead of listening to Cornstalk and staying out of it. So and that caused an even greater divide because our people were so confused. As his white boy coming and playing Indian, coming in amongst our people, and that's our fault. We allowed them to come in amongst our people because of this is another thing that kills me. Even to this day, in the plains, Indians, they allow more white folks to call themselves natives today than even probably back then in those days. They say as long as you you come in and follow our laws and our culture. So that white boy shouldn't have had a piece of ground to stand on to say anything. But he did. He told Cornstalk to shut the hell up and sit down. Really? And I could be wrong about who he was speaking to, but I think it was Cornstalk. Don't quote me on that. Y'all let this white boy come in he was no chief. It's a democracy, a true democracy. You allow this so-called Mohawk to stand up and disrespect a real indigenous brother who said the righteous thing. Yo, we need to stay out of this. So the Europeans are now claiming they were the cowboys and the Indians because our people are claiming African Americans. Yeah, well, it says God is not the author of confusion, brother. So who is? They've caused our people confusion to maximum. The Great Divide. I understand what you mean by that. Yeah, they were the cowboys, and then yeah, of course, because he is not the originator or the progenitor of anything that's good. I might get cut off of YouTube after this, but I don't care. Their time is up anyway. It don't matter. Everything that I'm speaking of is truth, and this is the problem that they have. They can't accept the truth. See, when you accept truth in your humble nature, that you would see that you were in error and that you would want to change and make things right. Whenever there has been a harm that has occurred or an injustice, you have to introduce some outside force to create a balance or to fix that which has been harmed, right? But because of the lack of humility and truth, that it can't be absorbed into your spirit and say, you know what, I'm going to humble myself. I'm going to say sorry, and I'm going to do everything in my power to fix this. They don't do that. They don't do that. They stole out your land and lied that you are a foreigner. Now they claim your heritage. Yeah. So brother, we, like in any good sci-fi movie, they show people fighting against evil and wickedness, people standing up. Except this is not a sci-fi channel or a sci-fi show. This is reality. So now we have to stand up for real with no fear. So we have to change the minds and the hearts of our people. Right? Regardless of what indigenous cultures we are, or language we speak, the least common denominator is the identifying, uniting force that we need to recognize. They stole our land. They lied. Of course, that's what he is. We understand and recognize that, but we must recognize that we must resist. We must resist, and we must fight back. So as our creator, stand firm and hold your corner. As we used to say in my old Bronx, there, hold your corner, boy, hold your corner. So yeah, there's no way around this, brother. We getting ready to go through a hellish nightmare. In order, and it says you must go through hell before you come up. What? Right. You gotta go through hell. Things are gonna get worse before they get what? Better. We're seeing the beginnings of that now. Right now. But when you see a train coming, you don't stand and wait for the train to hit you almost on top of you to get out the way. The natives west of the Mississippi were Mongolian people. Our people were Negro Indians. east of the Mississippi and Louisiana. Mm. Why are they holding this? The natives west of Mississippi were Mongolian people. Our people were Negro Indians. East of the Mississippi and Louisiana. Mm. Who says that the natives west of the Mississippi were Mongolian? Okay, and our people Negro east of Mississippi. Okay, who says this? Who says that they're Negro Indians east of the Mississippi and Louisiana? Where'd you get that from? What time is it? I got issue with that word Negro. You know, I guess to some degree, how you have issue with the term black. You know, but you know, it is what it is. So, but that's a word that I don't really subscribe to. But I understand you. You know, I guess you're using it from a, well, what they refer to us as Negro Indians. I did see that in some of their documents. Okay, got you. I got you. I got you. And you know, the East Mississippi. I mean, look, you know, the Mongolians they traveled across the land bridge, and they mixed with the East Indians that were now a lot of people don't know this. You know, I've heard so many different, you know, theories and people who investigations. They're saying that, oh, you know, these people didn't come in. People came in different times at different parts of the country, whether by boat or by land, while walking. They found, from what I know, the East Indians were exiled from India over 16,000 years ago. Over 16,000 years ago. I've learned this when I was like 12, 13 years old. I learned this, that they were exiled from India 16,000 years ago because they worshipped Buddha as God and only Buddha. And they were kicked out. A good portion of those people were kicked out, and they traveled across the land bridge and came into North America. And of course, if the Mongolians, who are right there, they came across each other. You know, I don't know if they had any wars, any conflicts, but I'm almost inclined to believe that they did. Thank you, sister. God bless you, and I appreciate your time, and I hope to break bread with you again. Here, okay, sure, absolutely. You can hit me up. You can hit me up. Hold on. Cherokee Moccasin at gmail.com. You hit me up, Cherokee Moccasin, okay? Yeah, so what I was saying now was that if you look carefully, and this is what I've done, I study phenotypes. If you look carefully, you'll see the indigenous peoples that came here, you know, maybe 1,000 years ago, 1,500 years, 2,000 years ago, from Asia, from Mongolia. You real dark. Now, brother Red Clay, you said you've never seen a black person, but we know that some of the East Indians that came down here, they mixed with the Mongolians. You can see it in the phenotypes, because I've seen pictures of the Mongolians, some of the older Mongolians. I was like, oh my God. But then I looked at them, and I looked at some of the natives that live in the plains, and the old pictures of them. And I said, some of them look like a combination of the Mongolians and the East Indians. You know, I've seen this in my own family. My great grandmother was from North Carolina, dark skin, Cherokee, from North Carolina. You know, and she had those long Indian, you know, features from India, right? But again, you're welcome, sister. You know, people look, the darker peoples, we mix with other people, and we have. To say that they weren't doing that back then, oh yes, they were. Oh yes, they were. People still mixing today from other cultures and ethnic, you know, backgrounds and continents. People are going to do that. People are going to be screwing each other regardless. You know, especially if they believe that it could be to their benefit. You know, who knows? And how they interacted while they were coming down the land bridge, or the East Indians made it down here first, and then the Mongolians came down here after and met up with them. You know, whether it was peaceful at first, who knows? Whether it was through war, who knows? But I know very dark brown, but not black. No skin is black. Oh no, brother, that's not true. No, this is why I have to disagree with you. I have to disagree. Humbly disagree with you on that. But you know what? Look, that's not important. That's your perspective, right? That's your. If you say they're not black, fine. I see something else in my eyes. I see something else. Okay, all right. So, but neither here nor there. What I'm saying is that the indigenous peoples that we've seen in the Plains Indians are a direct result of a mixture between the Mongols and the East Indians. Their hair and their skin complexions and their facial features are a testament to that. And what I have personally come up with myself, right? I'm not saying anybody else you have to believe that, but I tell you, next time you look at some of the older pictures that I have come across and investigated, take a closer look. Take a closer look. And then, of course, others came, some of the Europeans, you know, who came, and then you guys, some of them to this day are saying that they was here before all of us, which is absurd. Absurd. Nowhere is he native except in the Caucasus Mountains. That's his nativity. So we must critically look. No skinny, but again, brother Red Clay, I have to say, you know, you can't tell everyone that. You know, that's your perspective. You know what I'm saying? That's your perspective. You know, if you believe that, then that's fine. I've seen some people with purple black skin. I mean, I got some pictures in my phone. I'm talking about shiny black skin. So black, it almost looks like, like somebody took and painted it on, but yeah. So that's why the out west tribes didn't know we were here. And the ones that came east. There you go. That's right. That's my brother. I tell people this. You know, there were certain tribes that were not nomadic. And even the ones that were nomadic, what they did was during the winter months, they moved into more hospitable climates that they would survive the winters. You know, they might travel maybe 15, 20, 30 miles to go, to their winter camps, as a lot of the Cheyenne, the Lakota, and others did. But there were tribes that didn't know of each other from the West Coast to the East Coast. That is so true. Well, I'm glad, brother. I'm glad you brought that one up, because that is definitely true beyond measure. I mean, yes. There you go. In a nutshell, I've been saying that for the longest time. So that's very important, and indeed, it is something that needs to be talked about. That the mixing and then the knowledge of not knowing, the not having knowledge of other tribes that existed from one part of the country to the other. We all were not aware. There were so many different nations here that set up shop. Over time, so many. Not everybody gonna know about everybody else that's in a different part of the country. from the north to the south, from the east to the west, and some did, and some didn't, and some didn't. But again, I'm humbled by my family here today, brother. It was brother Red Clay. It was a pleasure speaking with you. My kids are getting ready to come home, so I got to get dinner. Ready, and brother, we got to talk again. You do you know the brother Karamio Ohio? Do you know him? West. Okay. So okay, bro. I don't know if you heard me. I was asking if you know brother Karamio Ohio. I was asking if you knew him. I definitely want to break bread with that brother. I gotta talk to him. But if you do know him, maybe we can get a three-way, phone, or come on, or we could do a live chat. You do know him, okay? Bill, can you put his name up? I want to see his videos. Camille, you. There you go. Good brother. Yeah. Some of the stuff that I heard, I was taken aback, Yes, sir. But if you do know him personally, okay. Chalugi. Welcome, sister. Yeah, just mention, possibly us, doing maybe a three-way video, because brothers like us, we need to definitely interact and talk with each other, and build build families, build councils. We need to build a broader house, amongst our peoples, so we can get this word. What we need more so, especially now, is awareness of warnings of what's coming for our people. Well, we know we suffered. We know that a lot of us know the history now, but we have to be prepared because the transition is coming, and a lot of us are not prepared. So I believe that we need to have a conference on that. He lives in he's in Costa Rica. Wow, that's all right. That's beautiful. That's all right. Do a video next time you speak to him. Speak to him of me, and you see my email address on there. You could take that as well. Give it to the brother, and tell him to communicate if he can, and maybe we could set up a video conference. How does that sound? Does that sound good? It's time to go. Like I said, all three of us, we definitely need to build, in terms of reaching out to our national and international community. Amen. Oh, anyway, okay. So brother Red Clay, sister Corian, I enjoyed this segment, coming from Indigenous Peoples News Network, and I have yes. Like I said, if you can connect with the brother, and we could do some type of conference, some video conference. I'm connected with Oh my God, what's the name of this thing? Again, they changed their name. Hold on. It's called iVideo. No, hold on. Because I'm not on as well. Peace and blessings. Yes, same to you, brother. And I'm looking forward to having that talk with you. Yeah, brother Red Clay, I have my email. We got to do some type of video conference with uh a video meeting. It's called, hold on. And you as well, my sister. You as well, my sister. You as well. Where is this? Video meetings. Log in. Team partnerships. Instagram. Well, anyway, like I said, there was a delay when I send a reply to you. Okay, no problem. A video conference. A video conference. I'd love to speak to you and the brother and whoever else that we can muster up. But initially, I wouldn't mind speaking directly with you and my brother Karamil. We could definitely, we have some that's a powerful energy right there, and we definitely need to do some exchanges. Okay, so yeah, hit me up, and if you speak to the brother, give him my email, tell him to hit me up, and like I said, we do something constructive in the near future. All right. And on that note, I'll say, peace and blessings, one and all to my family. I love you guys. I love you. I love you. I love you. And I hope that we can break bread again in the near future. Aho.